Firstly, though, here in Manchester, they meet at the press conference.
Live on DAZN Worldwide, April 26th, a legendary rivalry is reborn. Chris Eubank Jr versus Conor Benn. Born rivals, battle is in their blood. Fighting for the name, the honour, the legacy. It's finally time to settle the score. Eubank Jr versus Benn, April 26th. Available soon at DAZN.com/boxing.
Well, yes, welcome to Manchester, England for stop one on the Fatal Fury Press Tour. Whenever these two meet, it's fireworks and it's fun. And tonight we begin the build-up to a massive night of boxing from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, April 26th. Born rivals Chris Eubank Jr and Conor Benn headline a stacked fight card right here on DAZN. Yes, Jamie Ward here. Alongside me, two heavy hitters, two former world champions in their own right to bring you all the proceeds from tonight's launch press conference. Mr. Barry Jones, Mr. Tony Bellew as well. Gents, great to see you, Tony and Barry. Let me come to you first, Barry. Fresh off the plane.
Yes.
From Saudi, what a night that was in Riyadh. Incredible.
Oh, it was a special night. On paper, it was always going to be a brilliant night, but very often do they live up to the hype, and that did. It really did. From the first title fight with the interim light heavyweight title fight with obviously Callum Smith and Joshua Buatsi, which is already fight of the year. Round 6 might be round of the year already. To what was a beautiful fight against Beterbiev and Bivol again. Again, rematches very rarely also deliver as good as the first, and that was all, if not more, as exciting.
What was your big takeaway, Tony, from that night in Riyadh?
I thought Callum Smith was unbelievable. I thought he was fantastic. I thought he dominated Joshua Buatsi. I think at times he bullied him, but don't get me wrong, he took a fair bit back at times. He was asked questions, he answered them. I've seen a lot of people making, accusations of is his heart in anymore after the Beterbiev fight, but he showed without a shadow of a doubt he's still up there amongst the best light heavyweights in the world. He really did. So Callum Smith was fantastic. Dimitri Bivol, I mean, even though Callum Smith's fight is a potential fight of the year and it's definitely round of the year, I think that goes without saying. I don't think anyone can beat the performance of Dimitri Bivol. I'm not going to lie. I think the performance was just outstanding. You've got to understand and put this into context, Jay. He's the only man to see full 12 rounds with Beterbiev. And not only has he seen the full 12 rounds in 24-round fights, in 24 rounds worth of fights, he's now beaten him. And he was a clearer winner in the second fight than Beterbiev was in the first fight. And I think he's proved now he's the fighter that has more strings to his bow. He's the more complete fighter of the two. And if I'm being brutally honest, I don't think age is being too kind now to to Artur Beterbiev. I think it's catching up with him. But I'd love to still see a third fight, because I think, if anything now, it's going to make Beterbiev come out and want to get rid of Dimitri Bivol early, because he knows as the stretch of the fight goes on, he's not going to get stronger as the fight goes on now.
Well, how lucky are we? Because the big fights just keep on coming, don't they, on DAZN? Now, when you talk about British rivalries, I said it in the intro there, Nigel Benn, Chris Eubank, 1990, the first fight, a fight, of course, that Chris Eubank won. The rematch 3 years later, Old Trafford. Now, Tony, do you remember who was on the card that night? Hang on, just quickly, because there was a young lad, a Welsh lad, handsome chap, was on the card. I think he moved 6-0 that night at Old Trafford. Do you remember?
Calzaghe. Oh, sorry, Barry Jones. I'm getting ahead of myself because I've just put years on poor Joe Calzaghe there.
What are you on about? He boxed the week before.
Well, there you go then. You boys are really close in age then.
Yeah. We box. We turn pro young. We don't mess around in Wales. We have no work, do we? So we need to get a job as quick as we can.
I mustn't lie. They do breed them differently on the valleys. They're absolute animals. Do you know what? People never give credit to Wales for some of the fighters they've produced over the years. Barry's one, Joe's another. Even though I don't agree with him and like the fella much, Nathan Cleverley's been a brilliant fighter. Enzo Macronelli, fantastic fighter. Johnny Owen. There's so many who they've produced over the years, and they don't get the credit they deserve.
Well, Barry, of course, that night. Did you manage to sneak out and watch the main event that night?
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. So I remember it so vividly, because it was only 5 fights on the bill that night. So even if you were first on, which I was, you were still pretty much a prime spot. And then the fight was delayed. You remember, it was on terrestrial TV, so they have an hour to show the fight, and that's it. It was delayed because no one would sit down ringside, and it was raining, only slightly rain, and that stopped. The fight went on. It was a controversial draw. Everyone thought Nigel Benn won, but after the fight, in the corridor, Nigel Benn at the office of Alex Ferguson, the manager at the time, wow. and Chris Eubank at the home dressing room, and they walked past each other, and I thought they was going to kick off big time. and they just grinned at each other. No, they didn't like each other, that's the truth.
But there was respect.
But no, I realised they knew how to sell a fight.
Yeah.
They just cleared £1 million each in '93, by the way. Let's not forget about that. And they just grinned at each other and walked past each other without saying a word. And I just thought, I understand what the game was all about then. But to be around those... See, for young kids, like we've all been there, to be around great fighters, great fights, big occasions, gives you that thirst for want to do that, want to be that, and ultimately makes you a better fighter and makes you train better, be more dedicated. So that, for me, was a turning point in my career.
Well, we have got some shots here we can bring up as well. Have a little look at this.
You being on that bill, Baz, who do you actually think won it? That draw? Do you think a draw was the fair result?
No, I thought, and most people thought Nigel Benn did.
I did.
I mean, I
just didn't want to say it.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I think Chris did too much of this.
He was
posing,
brilliant, though, wasn't he?
But in this fight, this first fight, which was the best fight, I watched this fight on a ferry coming back from Ireland, but I boxed as an amateur. It was unbelievable. And this fight was a proper war.
I'm happy to say this, and I'll go on here. Obviously, what I'm going to say next. I think Chris Eubank has had the greatest chin of any British boxer ever. If I'm building a British fighter, he's got Chris Eubank's chin.
Yeah, his chin was absolutely phenomenal. His work rate wasn't a lot to live up to, but in this fight, his work rate was phenomenal. This was a war. He knew he couldn't mess around with Nigel Benn. Yeah, all the other fights. I've seen Chris Eubank box before all the Simply the Best music. Yeah. He boxed a fellow called Dennis Cronin in Cardiff, and he destroyed. Dennis Cronin was tough as they come, really good boxer, and he destroyed him like he was nothing. And then I remember seeing that must have been 89 or something, and 88, and I thought, whoa, he's an animal.
The thing with the dad, with Eubank Senior, is people get drawn into this showman and stuff like that. You don't realise how tough he was and how hard of a fighter he was. And he only gets a bit of the credit that he deserves later on with the beatings he gets off Carl Thompson.
Yeah.
People then realise and go to him, you know what? He's not just a showman. There's substance to him. There's grit. There's determination. There's a real fight and a passion in him. And I'm not going to lie, I do think the son's got that in him. He's got a ruggedness and a determination about him. Now, he's never as good a boxer as his father, and he's not on the same level, if I'm being totally honest. But the two of them do have similar characteristics to the fathers. Conor Benn is explosive, fights out of the stands. I mean, the fathers have rubbed off on them, and they will, because they will have studied and watched the fathers all their lives. So they take characteristics from them.
Well, personalities, I would say.
Yeah.
That's what's been really obvious. I think Chris Eubank inherited his
extravagant.
No, not as, but I mean, it's closest to, and so with Chris and Nigel, you couldn't have picked two polarizing figures, which made it absolutely explosive when they met up with each other outside of the ring. No, Chris was all show. Nigel was just an angry man. That's what he came across, an angry man who just wanted to get on board with his business and fight. That's all he wanted to fight, destroy you. He had that Mohican haircut. Every time he knocked people out on his rise to a world title shot, he would scream. He was getting it, he'd go, ah, and he'd bash people to pieces. And you had the other guy who would just smirk and strut and do all the stuff. And Nigel couldn't get into his skin. But Chris could get into his skin by doing nothing but look at him and go,
You think they're living to them narratives even now, both of each fighter?
I think they inherited their dad's traits in that way, I think, as well. I think, and they play that part very well. Not as good as their dad, but good enough. And so I think Conor comes across as slightly angry, and Chris comes across as that arrogant, that arrogance that his dad had. That whatever you say means nothing to me because I'm just above you.
Well, let's talk about the kids just quickly because we need to get to the fight.
That's what I was getting to,
a continuation of the legacy, of course, that their father started 35 years ago. And when in the build-up to the first fight, October 2022, of course, everything that happened and followed, we know that. But it appears now that it's become much more personal.
It is.
Between the two. Do you agree?
It is much more personal because that's what time does. Time makes things personal, especially in the controversy that it was wrapped up in 2022, like we touched upon. But ultimately, you have to look at it and they wanted to fight each other from the minute these guys turned professional. It's always been on the cards. It always will be. It's always going to be. It's a big draw for both. I just think what's made it personal is that disruption that happened in 2022. And you look at them here. I don't actually class Chris Eubank Jr. as being arrogant. I just think he's so confident in his ability. But I think similar to his father, he doesn't take anything personal.
Yeah.
This is purely a business decision to Chris Eubank Jr. This isn't personal. I think for Conor, like his father, it is personal. I mean, it's without a shadow of a doubt, he's the one pumped up here. You will see Chris Eubank Jr. come out here today, and it will be like he's just walked into a coffee shop. and you will see him physically getting under Conor's skin. And if I'm not going to lie, that's what all these people are in here for. That's what we're all drummed into. It's what we like. No one wants to see, Jay, with all due respect, two fellas come in and they could be the best fighters in the world. Absolutely amazing. But no one sees them come in, shake hands and go, you know what, lad, made the best man win. We don't want to see that. That doesn't sell. That's not what's good. We want to see a rivalry, a bitterness, history. It just goes on and on and on. And it's like a soap.
Well, you know your way around a rivalry, Tony. You had the fight with Cleverly, you had the fights with David Haye. How important is it, though, to control that emotion? Because I spoke to Conor downstairs about half an hour ago, and he said, I don't care about keeping calm, just let me at him.
Listen, I've had a few rematches. I've done them, obviously, famously with David Haye, Nathan Cleverly, Oval McKenzie, Isaac Chilemba. I've had a few fair rematches, and I've won them all, to be honest, all of them in far more impressive fashion than the first one, as you can see here. But...
How do you keep calm?
You cannot get emotionally involved in the build-up. Now, you know what? That's the mistake I made in the Cleverly rematch was I was emotionally invested in the fight. And you know when the fire and the flames shot up behind me as we walked to the ring, I felt absolutely exhausted because I'd invested in the emotional side of the game. I delved so much into him and his personal life, and it took over me. So I was saying things to him in the fight, I was saying things to him in the way, and I was saying some stuff that shouldn't be said, but the truth, there was no lies, just the truth. And only me and him will ever know what was said between us, but I'd invested myself so much, and when I was walking, I felt flat.
Is it important to control the narrative? It's just in the rematch, realising if I control the pattern, what's being said, the build-up, if I control it, then I don't get carried away emotionally, because I'm always the one leading the...
It is, Baz, and you know what, I think a big part with me and Nathan Cleverly was we didn't like each other. There was a history of the first fight was quality to watch. Yeah, we knocked 10 bells out of each other, we really did. Still to this day, I think I won, he thinks he won, it is what it is. But that history made us share a certain thing, and I'll be interested to see if these go through something similar in this fight, because I think they can. On paper, looking at this fight, if you're going to be one of them box rec guys and you look at a fight on paper, you go, this is a bit of a mismatch. One guy's a fully blown middleweight, the other guy's a full blown welterweight. The levels they've boxed at, the wins for Chris Eubank Jr. are big. He's beaten two former world champions in Arthur Abraham and James DeGale. He's took everything Judge Groves could throw him as super middleweight. These are weight
Smith as well.
You know, he's got a victory over
Matty Konopov, the former world amateur champion, for an interim title or a regular title.
Well, he's got some really good wins, and when you compare them like that, but listen, this isn't boxrec, and this isn't a paper fight. This fight evens itself up when you see what Conor Benn brings to the ring, because when you see what Liam Smith done to Conor Benn, then you can see he can be got at. If the speed and the temperament and the tactics are right on the night, he can be got at. And I think with someone like Conor Benn, who's so explosive, so fast, and puts so much into the early rounds, that's a danger for Chris Eubank Jr. I think for Chris Eubank Jr., he's not as good a boxer as he actually believes. And that's what gives Conor Benn an opportunity in this fight. If he tries to come in here with that Roy Jones-esque style, it's going to fail him miserably. But if he comes in here with a style and goes, I'm going to show you what a big 160 looks like, then he could be too big and too much.
What do you see, Barry, as the keys to victory for both?
Well, I think the first fight, I thought it was a mismatch. Now, it seems a lot closer, because neither one has looked great since the first fight was meant to happen, of course. I don't think Eubank looked great, but I think for Eubank, this jab's key. It's size, of course, but I think if you can keep Conor Benn at the end of his jab, all that explosiveness, aggressiveness, and the smaller guy, you just make him reset all the time, he'll run out of ideas. I think that's important. And for Conor, he has to get it, even though Chris is a bigger guy, but also having to make 160, I think, is a strain on him. So if you can get close to him, make him work very, very hard in the early rounds, and I think you say this about Eubank, he's always had a great engine, but if you fight at your pace, then you can tire him out a little bit, make him panic.
Does he punch hard enough, Barry, do you think?
Who? Eubank?
Eubank?
I don't think he's a massive puncher, but he's a sharp puncher. But Conor seems to take a good shot. Yeah. But then again, if you look at Conor's career, because he's always the most aggressive, he's pushing people back. How many real big shots have he taken? And also, he's been managed really well. He's got good wins, but his best wins are against non-punchers.
Yeah,
Van Heerden, Algieri, you know, they haven't been massive punchers. So taking a punch against a bigger guy, we'll find out. But I think he can absorb a shot. So I don't think power's going to be a massive factor. But I think the jab of Eubank and the way he whips his punches in might catch Conor coming if Conor overcommits. Because Conor, whether you like it or not, his technique is not always flawless. He does make mistakes because he wants to be so aggressive. He can walk out the shots, and if the whipping shots can catch you as you're helping with your body weight coming forward, then that can knock you out. So
I think it's a fight of two halves. I think this is simply a fight. I think the first half of the fight is all Conor Benn. But if Chris Eubank Jr. comes to that first half of the fight and them heavy moments from Conor Benn, I think that the writing's on the wall then, because I think the bigger man takes over, and I think he starts maybe the physical strength and the size advantage that he have. I think that gets the better of Conor, but I'm not going to lie, I think it's over in the first 6 rounds.
Just before we do carry on, let's give you a little reminder of what is coming your way. So much to talk about on this main event. We could be here all day, but here is the undercard. Some really good domestic fights to look forward to as well, gents. I mean, starting off, Vidal Riley versus Siobhan Clark for the British Cruiserweight Championship. Chev Clark looking to bounce back to winning ways after defeat in December in Monaco against Leonardo Mosquera. Chris Smith, also a man looking to get back to winning ways after defeat to Zerdo Ramirez last time out. He's in with American Brandon Glanton. A good fight in the middleweight division as well. Former world champion Liam Smith in with the unbeaten Aaron McKenna. No doubt both of those guys will have their eyes on the champions, Janabek, Lara. And of course, Carlos Adames, who retained his WBC World Middleweight Championship, a draw that some thought was controversial last Saturday against Hamza Giraz, but that's a great fight to look forward to. And the chief support, Anthony Yard, Lyndon Arthur, they do it for a 3rd time, guys, as well. That's one apiece. That one before, of course, your main event, Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn collide in the main event. Well, listen, when these two do come together, as I said in the intro, it always tends to be fireworks, it's always fun. We're expecting much more of that here this evening.
We've walked a similar path in the shadows of legends.
That's mental, that is. We've got Eubanks to sign it as well. Yeah, let me quickly scribble a bit.
They say lightning never strikes twice. I knew that the chances of me ever being able to make it in boxing were so slim that it's like, it wasn't even really worth me trying. I guess the sickness inside of me, let me see how far I can get. But I've done that now.
Why do this to yourself?
Because I love the challenge, the drive, the goals, the ambition, the fighting. As long as I reach my full potential and I can look back and go, I've done everything I could.
I don't have to fight now. I could retire tomorrow and I would be okay. But I don't want to be fine. I want to be excellent.
Before I even turned pro, it got mentioned. Irrelevant of how far apart we were in our careers when we first started, the gap seems to have closed very quickly, mainly because of all the work I've been doing.
He doesn't worry me. He doesn't scare me. I don't see him as a threat.
What, you think I'm gonna be a walk in the park?
I mean, yeah, on a nice summer's day. You got to prove me wrong.
I rise to the occasion every single time. I'm ready for this.
Life's a coat of many colors. It is never black and white. Can't have one without the other.
In my opinion, I'd stop him inside 8 rounds.
I do fancy my son. Trubin session.
I've said this and I believe I win by stoppage. Within 6.
If he's saying it's going to end in 6 rounds, then it will end in 6 rounds. He will end in 6 rounds.
Boy is in trouble. Yes! 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 Yes!
The dark without the light.
Not long to go now then until we hear from the fighters. Tony, how much are you expecting Chris Eubank Jr. to try and wind Conor Benn up here this evening?
It's a given. It's a given, mate. It's like us. You know, it's happening. It's just going to happen, mate. And do you know what the funniest part is? He's going to do it without even trying. Yeah. If he really did try, he could probably make him burst. But it'll be really good to watch. This is what we're here for, Jay. This is the entertainment factor that this fight brings. If you're trying to make a fight happen for entertainment and styles clashing, this wouldn't be the fight you'd pick. We're making this because of personality. We're making this because of the history. We're making this happen because people want to see what happens. We're not making this for a stylistic matchup. There's not getting made because this could be just a great fight. It's the history and the backstory, and that's what sells.
In terms of that history, Barry, I spoke to Conor earlier today, and he said, look, the fear of losing to Chris Eubank Jr. and having to carry that is every bit, if not more strong, in terms of driving him every day in the gym than the motivation of actually winning the fight. What do you make of that?
Well, let's not forget, the Benn family are down. They never got a win. They never got it. I mean, I think everyone thought that Nigel should have got the result in the rematch, but he never got it. So it's a win and a draw in the column for Chris Eubank Sr. So for the Eubank family, they're ahead. So it is there might be pressure on Ben there and he'll want to get it for his dad and for himself. I think this is a quite unique situation because you have two kids who came from privileged backgrounds who shouldn't need to fight, but they do. No, that in itself is not a criticism. How crazy and dedicated them two that they want to fight.
That's the most impressive thing that I give both of them, by the way. What you've just said, we know we had to get out of bed. We have no other way out of life to achieve the lifestyles we wanted and the dreams we had. It was fighting our way out. Our parents weren't fighting. We weren't led by our parents. My dad could have a fight, but I knew it was the way to impress my dad. A bit different. But you see these two lads, they're born into, let's just not be down, wealth.
Yeah.
They've lived lovely lifestyles. They've had every dream that they probably had as a kid. And did they actually need this financially? No. But I give both of them so much credit because, mate, it is so hard to get out of bed at 5 in the morning when you financially don't need to. You know, have either of these kids ever had a 9-to-5 job? Have either of these kids, what's the worst they've done? Go to school?
It's a unique situation, but also the fact that your fathers were so iconic figures to box each other. Like these two, it was never going to happen. They were so far away in weights. Always happened. I never saw it happening. But I remember when Chris Eubank turned pro, let alone the Conor Benn, and then when Conor turned pro, it was like, oh, imagine if they two could fight. It's like one's a middleweight who's going to go up, and one's a light welterweight, a super lightweight. Really, when he started,
thought it was a gimmick.
It was never going to happen. But then slowly but surely, they got a little bit closer. Conor didn't look good, but all of a sudden Conor went, come to life, and then you thought this could happen, and here we are.
Well, guess what, gents? Let the games begin. Before we hear from the fighters, let's hear from the unmistakable, the legendary Mr. Michael Buffer.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and it's great to be here. For those of you who don't know who I am, allow me to introduce myself. I'm the only person in the sport of boxing to have ever been in the same ring with Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Tyson Fury, marvelous Marvin Hagler, many, many more, and none of them ever laid a hand on me. So that's because after I introduce them, I get the hell out of the ring and enjoy the fight. Now, I'd like to point something out. This month, 37 years ago, in Bingley Hall in Stafford, a town about 45 miles south of here, was the very first time I worked in the UK. It was Frank Tate versus Tony Simpson for the middleweight championship of the world. I was nervous as hell, but by the time the fight was over and the night was over, I was in love with the great fight fans here in the UK. So I'd just like to say, in return, after 37 years, it's great to still be here occasionally. And I still, especially for the past decade, refer to the UK as my home away from home, and I love you guys. So we are here for a very special reason. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the kickoff press conference for the Ring Magazine inaugural event. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn, Saturday, April 26th at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, London. 35 years ago, their fathers fought 2 times, 2 wars in the 1990s for the super middleweight and middleweight championships of the world, setting the stage for a family rivalry like no other in the history of the sport. So, ladies and gentlemen, this contest will be brought to you by Ring Magazine and SNK Corporation, the publisher of the famous video fighting game Fatal Fury, City of Wolves, along with Eddie Hearn for Matchroom Boxing and Ben Shalom for Boxer. It'll be broadcast live on DAZN worldwide and on Sky Sports Box Office in the United Kingdom and Ireland. Now, seated behind me, let me introduce the chairman of Matchroom Boxing, the aforementioned Eddie Hearn, the CEO and founder of Boxer, Ben Shalom, the legendary trainer and cornerman for both Chris Eubank Jr. and Sr., Ronnie Davis, along with Chris's head trainer, former heavyweight contender Jonathan Banks, and the father of Conor Benn from the WBC Boxing Hall of Fame, the former middleweight and super middleweight champion of the world, the Dark Destroyer, Nigel Benn. So at this time, ladies and gentlemen, let's meet the fighters and bring them out to the stage and to their seats. First, with an outstanding perfect record, 23 fights, 23 victories, 14 wins by knockout, the former WBA Continental Champion and the and the undefeated champion, Conor the Destroyer Benn. Conor Benn, undefeated, and his opponent on Saturday, April 26th, with a record of 34 victories, 23 wins by knockout, 3 defeats. He is the IBO middleweight champion and former IBO two-time super middleweight world champion, Chris, the next generation, Eubank Jr. Making an entrance like his dad, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get on with the rest of this press conference. It's for the fans, it's for the fighters.
Move on. As a fighter, I want to be seated as close to my enemies as possible. I want to be able to see.
I agree. This was Eddie's choice. This was Eddie's.
Of course it was Eddie's choice. Of course Eddie wants the promoters to be in between the fighters. So I'm going to sit here, and Ben, you should sit there. You do what you want.
I don't know who the fuck you're talking
Good idea, Chris.
I don't know who you think you're talking to, silly bollocks.
So at this time, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce our host for the press conference, Mr. Ade Oladipo.
Thank you, Michael. I don't think I'm needed. That was already going to start without me. But before we get going, thank you so much to everyone for attending, all the media. But most importantly, I always say this to fans as well. Thank you for turning up. Manchester has become, I think, the home of British boxing. We've had so many good events at the AO Arena, the Co-op Live, and I think there are going to be more big events coming in the next few months. I will say this, though. It is a little quiet in this arena. So on 3, I do need you guys to join in with me. On 3, I want you to say Manchester as loud as you can to kind of get the energy in this building going a little bit. So 1, 2... Wait, 1 second. Let's try that again. A bit more, Manchester. Here we go again. On 3. 1, 2. There you go. That's more like it. Welcome to the kickoff press conference for the Ring Magazine's inaugural event, Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn, which will take place at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, April 26th in London. We all know the Benn and Eubank rivalry. We all know the names of the fathers. It goes back 4 decades. And 32 years ago, they fought here in Manchester for the final time at Old Trafford. Now, finally, it's time for the Sons to get it on. The unbeaten Conor Benn, with a record of 23-0, 14 knockouts, will move up in weight to take on the IBO World Middleweight World Champion, Chris Eubank Jr., with a record of 34-3 with 25 knockouts. The event is being brought to you by Ring Magazine, SNK Corporation, the publisher of the famous video fighting game Fatal Fury, City of Wolves, Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing, and Ben Shalom of Boxer. And the event will be broadcast on DAZN worldwide and Sky Sports box office in the UK and Ireland. For fight fans, look, I speak as a fight fan as well. Boxing is as good as it's ever been. Big shows nearly every single week, stacked fight cards, and more importantly, the most important thing, the best fighting the best. That's what we as fight fans want to see. I have just caught my breath from the last crescendo, which was an incredible event, and we moved to this press conference to build up to a fight that is now much, much bigger 2.5 years later. And it has an incredible undercard as well. We'll get to that a bit later, but I want to kick things off straight away. Eddie, I want to come to you straight away. Here we are, 2.5 years later, Eddie. There's been some ups and downs, ebbs and flows. There was a time when I thought we'd missed the boat on this fight. As we sit here now, knowing this fight is 100% going to happen, how are you feeling?
I can't believe it. I mean, I couldn't believe it the first time around. And, you know, we got to a stage, the fight was announced.
Eddie,
it was the...
you know I don't like you, right?
I don't know.
So, if you know that, what on God's sweet green earth makes you think I'm going to sit here and listen to any of the bollocks that you have to say about it?
To be honest, I mean, you're going to have to.
No.
You are?
We're not. We're going to have some parliamentary procedure here today.
Okay. Well, one thing's for sure, you ain't no prime
And
minister.
we're going to skip past whatever bullshit it was you thought you was going to talk about, and we're going to continue on with the press conference. Ade, you may proceed.
So as I was saying, Ade...
No.
No, you get your turn.
This is not the Eddie Hearn show.
One thing's for sure, it ain't the Chris Eubank show.
This is not the Eddie Hearn show.
No.
This is Eubank versus Ben, so you can either sabotage this...
You got your man to your right is going to say a few words.
You can either sabotage the event, and I'll just start talking to Ben personally, directly, or you can be quiet and we can move on with the press conference. I don't want to hear anything you have to say.
I mean, you can do whatever you want.
We can be here all day.
I've been addressed.
We can be here all day.
I've been addressed.
I don't want to hear what you have to say. So
well, to be honest with you, many people do.
Ade,
I think I'm more popular than you.
Ade, if you want to control the situation and move forward, you can.
I'm enjoying this. This is almost like a mini face-off.
So how would you run the press conference, Chris? Because you're such an unbelievable promoter.
I'm not running it, but I'm just not listening.
So what happens now?
We move on.
What, you talk?
I'd love to talk, but if not me, somebody else.
I'll tell you what I'll do. Conor Benn, how are we feeling about smashing this geezer to pieces April 26th?
Let's hear from Conor.
Yeah? Because I'll tell you something now. I can't wait. I can't wait. I look at you, I look at Nigel. I look at Nigel wants to get in the ring and have a tear-up.
You know what? Listen, Chris can say what he wants. The bottom line is, his dad don't even like him. You could not pay that man enough money to sit in this man's corner. Now that's an accomplishment, Chris. That's an accomplishment. Well done. The most unlikable geezer on the planet. Even your dad don't like you.
Maybe.
Shit, man. Drop the mic.
Chris, okay, there was an order, but let's scrap the order. Let's go straight to you, Chris. You are the champion. We maybe should have started with you first. How are you feeling, Chris, 2.5 years after this was supposed to happen? There's been some ups and downs, but here we are. Like I said to Eddie, we're here. The fight will happen April 26th. What are your emotions right now?
The bad guy is back again. He still never cheats. He still never lies. He still never cuts any corners. And yet he is still the bad guy. Isn't it incredible? You know, the unique and peculiar situation we find ourselves in here today is that for the first time in boxing history, in a mega fight, there are two bad guys. Fun fact, I've been booed into every British fight I've had since 2014. Just let that sink in for a second.
No one cares, Chris.
That's 11 years. 11 years of being the bad guy. I'm a veteran at this stage. A supervillain, if you will. I remember the first time I got booed into an arena was against a fighter called Billy Joe Saunders, another scumbag in the boxing industry. And it's a cold, dark moment in your life when you realize you're in an environment where thousands and thousands and thousands of people want to see you get hurt and lose. Even recently, walking into Wembley Stadium, AJ versus Dubois, I walk in, the cameras are on me, my face goes up on the screen, 80,000 people boo me into that arena. And that is after a career best performance against Liam Smith, where I beat him in a rematch. I say all that to say that on April 26th, I'm probably going to be walking into the same environment.
But it's okay, because I'm not going to be alone. Like I said, there's two bad guys in this fight. And, there's one in me who has accepted his fate. I gave up on my dreams of being the hero a long, long, long time ago. The other still wants and believes and dreams and prays.
Chris, speak on behalf of yourself.
Of being
speak on behalf of
the
yourself.
good guy, of
Speak on
being
behalf
the
of
golden boy. That's what I believe.
No. Speak on behalf of yourself.
I know. I'm just saying what I believe your mindset is at
rubbish.
this stage.
This whole time, this whole 10 minutes you've been talking has been rubbish.
It's okay.
Like no one's even like, what do you want, a violin?
The sickening thing about this situation is, Conor, you had it.
I have it. You don't have it.
You had it.
No, I have it.
You had
Your
it.
career's done. You're fighting a welterweight at the end. That sums up your career.
You had the whole public behind you. Everyone wanted you to win. Everyone wanted you to be the next big thing in boxing. I never had that.
No one cares.
You know what I would have given to be in that situation that you were in?
But still nobody cares.
You had it.
But nobody cares still, Chris. You're still going on.
Pissed it all away. You literally pissed it all away. Now, you're here. We're at this press conference. We're going to fight, and you're going to try and use me to get back into the public's good graces. It's just not going to happen for you, kid. Sorry to break it to you.
Conor? To you, Conor.
Okay, thank you, mate.
You're the guy jumping up and weight. You've chased Chris for this fight. Again, the same question to Chris I'm going to ask to you. 2.5 years later, you've been through a lot, right? Here you are now. What's the feelings and emotions knowing that this fight is on April 26th?
Yeah, I think all the talking's been done. Obviously, what I've been through is very public, obviously. But excited to just get in April 26th and end this man's career.
You said, me and you have spoken a few times, and you've always said openly, privately, that you feel like you can get this job done within 6 rounds. You expect to get it done within 6 rounds. I think we all know how tough this man is. Why are you so confident that you can knock Chris Eubank Jr. out that quick?
Do you know what? I just can't take him seriously, that's all. Just look at his career. Every time he's stepped up, he's fouled. Every time. Yeah, you face better oppositions, well done you, but this is the end of your career. This is the end. This is it for you.
Wow.
I'm 28.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? You choose to fight a welterweight over Shiraz.
What was your last fight?
Over Janibek. Over Adamas. Over anybody with a world title. You choose to fight a welterweight. Your career's done.
You're not a welterweight.
You've achieved your career.
You fought a light middleweight in your last fight.
I fought a light middleweight to prepare for you.
Okay, so
That's all. I'm a welterweight.
No, you're not.
I'm a welterweight.
You'll be a welterweight.
And you are going to get beat.
Fight.
You are going to get rendered unconscious by a welterweight. Rendered. Yeah, exactly. Like Liam Smith. But that brings back horrors. Exactly like that. Exactly the way he jumped up to 160. And he done exactly that. Have you dancing all funny? That's exactly what's going to happen on April 26th. Except by a welterweight whose name happens to be Ben. And do you know what? You can retire off to the sunset with your pension fund. But this is you done.
Oh, shivers. I love that.
Chris, I was watching back the old presser, and it feels old now, 2.5 years ago. And one thing that stood out was that you said this will be a walk in the park. You expected it to be easy work then. What about now? 2.5 years later now, what do you expect? Still the same walk in the park, still easy work, or do you expect it to be a tougher challenge now?
You know, you go online, I go online and I see that there is a split. You know, I either see people saying Conor Benn's going to knock Eubank out early because he's too young, he's too strong, he's too ferocious, he's too hungry, he's too angry. Or Eubank wins on points because he's too big. Those are the two, and this is not just the public actually, this is respected members of the boxing community, trainers, fighters. Apparently the only way I can win this fight is just because of my size. You know, where's the fucking respect? You know, I've had 34 fights, 25 KOs, and I can only beat this guy because I'm a bit bigger than him?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm going to beat him because I'm a better fighter than
But
him
you're not.
in every single
But
department.
you're not. If you look at your career, your career's done.
I don't know. But he cannot beat me, that's for sure.
Based on what? Billy Joe, George Groves, Liam Smith. I'm undefeated here. You've tasted defeat. You've been rendered unconscious before. You was eating the canvas, literally.
Rendered unconscious. I finished the fight with my feet, my friend.
Well, your corner saved you. Otherwise, you definitely would have been eating the
Rendered
canvas.
unconscious is far from what I was.
You what? Sorry?
You know.
Well, I didn't hear what you said.
When you're up on your feet,
Oh,
demanding
shut
that the fight continues, I'm content with a loss like that, and I avenged it. Still got booed the next time I went out into an arena.
Because Liam Smith was 20%, and you still look shit.
Well,
you was 20%, and you still look shit. He threw maybe 2 punches around. Please explain to me how you want to give yourself credit. Are you really happy about that?
Why are we talking about?
Oh, no, I'm just saying. You just said you was out on your feet and you revenged the loss, and you're really happy about it. Are you actually happy about it?
It was a great performance.
Okay.
But let's talk about more pressing matters. Let's talk about something a bit more.
Come, let's go. I'm ready for it.
Like I said, we're both bad guys. Do you accept that? Do you know that you're down here in the dumps with me now? You are a villain in this sport.
Chris, I could not care less. I definitely ain't going to get my violin about and sit talking in a press conference in front of people for a good 20 minutes.
Conor, Chris, I would normally not interrupt you, but I do have an important phone call. I think both of us in the audience would want to hear from this person as well. You can speak now, you're on.
Hello.
This is His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh on the phone, wanting to speak to everyone.
I'm waiting for you in London for the conference in 27.
We will be there. I will be there.
What was I think when I do this fight? I don't know. The wait for reason. Let's see. And usually, I hope the Eddie Camp can do something. Usually Eddie Camp usually lose. And Bin Shalom, I don't hear your voice. I only hear Eddie. Why? What is the reason?
That's normal, Your Excellency.
I hope the Ben Conor can have a chance to revenge for the family. See you in 27. I think this is the biggest fight in England will be. And there is big surprise. We will do big concerts inside the stadium. We'll announce it then. Please, Eddie, try to do something this time. Thank you.
Thank you, His Excellency. Thank you very much. Normally I wouldn't interrupt you guys, but obviously very, very important. Ben, you'll get your time to talk as well. I know Ben's itching to say something. Eddie, you're itching to say something as well. Conor, it's been a long time since we've seen you in the ring, February last year. By the time the fight rolls around, you're talking nearly 15 months out of the ring. You're moving up in weight as well. You can see where the challenges start to build up. No hesitation about going to 160, 15 months out of the ring?
No concern, really. He's another man in my way that I've got to beat. I don't really look at him and go, oh, you're a big geezer. It's not really a concern to me. Ultimately, he's just an opponent in my way that I've got to beat. And, once I knock him out, I move back down to 147 and win the world title.
One thing I do want to address, and let's address it in public now, is the rehydration clause. Where are we on this? I don't know who to address here. If I'm going to Ben or Eddie, where are we on this rehydration cap? Ben.
Look, it wasn't something that we expected. It wasn't something that was agreed. I think the first fight, the weight limits, the rehydration, it got a lot of controversy in it, and it wasn't right. This was something that was added in last minute. It's something that we'll deal with. Chris is a professional, and he'll make it the way he should. But it's not something you typically see in boxing. Not at this limit, not on the day. And it's just another thing that puts a bit of a downer on the event, when at the end of the day, this is an unbelievable event for British boxing, and it wasn't agreed until 24 hours before a contract was signed.
Okay, there you go. Eddie, any response to that?
No, I think
Eddie doesn't get a response. I've made it very clear that Eddie is not.
One thing I'll tell you, because you better get some better people working for you, son.
It's okay.
Because I'll tell you something now, what you said was very spot on, Ben. It was agreed in the contract.
what was agreed was that the fight would happen and that Conor Benn can beat Chris Eubank Jr. at any weight. That was what was agreed.
No.
Then all of a sudden we get demands from Conor and his team that...
You do know the first fight was £7 rehydration.
The original fight was 157.
I'm not worried about the original fight. You guys sprung it on
hold
us.
Hold on a minute.
About a rehydration
Then you might put on
clause.
£8, £9. Stop talking rubbish, Chris, because that's all you've done all evening, is talk rubbish. You said your team come to my team and in fact said about a rehydration clause. £8 to £9, that's what you put on after weighing. That's what you suggested and we agreed. So to stop pushing, stop covering your ass for when you get knocked out. Stop covering your ass when you get knocked out.
Okay, all right.
We know what we
that's
signed.
who said that.
We know what we signed and we know what you
Let me just tell you how, from my perspective, how it went down.
It don't, honestly.
Eddie.
Your man said when the contract...
Stop interrupting me, Eddie. Let me cook.
No, because you got plum. Grade A plum. And you signed the contract.
I did sign the contract, and I'm going to explain why.
You know why you signed a contract?
I'm going to explain why. I like a challenge, okay? When Eddie and Conor started demanding that there was a rehydration clause for this fight, guess what I said? Show me the money. Show me the money. That's what I said. You know
why?
If you're going to have that advantage over me,
that's why you need the money.
if you're going to have that advantage over me,
You're shit at poker. That's why
then
you need.
you've got to pay top dollar.
This fight.
You've got to pay. I'm not going to give you that advantage for free.
Anyway, Addy, they signed
And
the
that's
contract.
exactly what they've done.
And that's why.
Apparently he got all the money, he signed the contract.
That's right. They paid me
Congratulations. We'll see you Saturday morning for
to
the
do
weigh.
the rehydration clause.
We'll see you there for the weigh.
As much as Eddie doesn't want to admit that and for that to be public knowledge, that's what's happening.
What's public knowledge?
I'm being paid to restrict my weight.
No, you're on a weight penalty if you miss it.
No. I'm physically being paid.
Oh yeah.
Do you really think I would ever
around
do
in
this
these
if there wasn't
negotiations?
some type of incentive?
See that geezer on your right, who I quite like now? He got spun around like a little kid on a playground on a roundabout. And every time he went round, I went, hello, Ben, hello, Ben, hello, Ben, like that. And he done a good job. He got you a good deal. But he knows what he signed. You know what you signed.
Chris was paid to do this.
I don't care what
Chris
he was
paid
Absolutely.
to do.
Good.
And
Good.
Bottom
and he was
line.
paid
Good.
to restrict
Listen,
the weight.
we were over the moon, we got 60-40 split in our favour. Next question.
Behave, Eddie. Behave.
Now, just a
Read the
little bit
contract,
more.
Ben.
Just a little bit more.
And
on the
also, one thing I
rehydration.
want to say is this.
Stop interrupting me, Eddie.
No, I've got
This is
something
not-
else
This
to
is not
say
the
as
Eddie
well.
Hearn show.
Are you going to make
I told
the
you
weight?
I don't want to hear you.
Are you going to make the weight?
I told you I don't want to hear you. That's not going to...
Are you going to make the weight?
Now, this rehydration situation, I've never done it before. Usually, I put on around 14 pounds after a weigh-in.
How long?
So I have two ways of approaching this now. I can either
You need new management,
restrict what I eat and drink so that I make the weight the next day, or I eat and drink as much as I want, rehydrate as much as I want, as I usually do, and then on the fight day, I'll jump in a sauna or a steam room for 40 minutes, get the 4 pounds off.
Stop covering your ass for when you get knocked out.
And then
that's all I'm hearing.
I'll hit that number that they want me to hit. I don't know which one I'm going to do. It's a gut thing, On the day I will decide. But the fact of the matter is, it's actually irrelevant. Whether there's weight clauses, restrictions, it doesn't change the outcome of the fight. One thing that you all need to know that Eddie's tried to push hard over the last few weeks is that the IBF enforced a 10-pound restriction anyway at middleweight, so that's why this is safe. The truth is, that's a lie. The IBF...
They moved it to 12 recently.
Exactly,
Yeah.
which is what he did not tell you, is that it's a 12-pound weight limit. So, just another example of Eddie lying through his teeth to the public to try and make himself look good.
Not at all.
Situation
It's all down to the negotiation, and as I said...
Why is it now that only people are only hearing you say it's 12 pounds?
Because that's the IBF rule that's just been changed.
Because you chat shit.
Chris,
you've been trying to pull the wool over people's eyes.
You said in the first fight,
I'm going to expose
you only
everything.
hydrate 5 or 6 pounds.
Why are you
now it's
talking about the
14
£5? Why are you talking about the last
Now it's
fight?
14 pounds.
Nobody cares about the last fight. We're talking about now.
Is it going to make a difference?
The IBF,
Chris,
is it going to make a
£10
limit?
Chris, just get it in the open now. Is it going to make
not a £12 limit? Not
Is it going to make a difference in this fight?
Why are you talking to me, Conor?
Let me ask you that question.
Because your promoter is saying more on this table than
Sorry,
you.
Eddie.
But he isn't.
Is this Eubank Hearn or Eubank Ben?
By the excuses.
This is pretty wild, actually, Conor. You're letting this guy chat for you. It's embarrassing. Say something.
I'm just answering your question.
I don't want to talk to you, Eddie.
I don't want to talk to you. You talk so much.
You're so unimportant to me, it's not even funny.
Ditto.
Chris, let me ask the question then. Will the rehydration clause make a difference?
Will it make a difference? I'm not going to lose the fight, if that's what you mean. Will I be affected? Of course I will. I'm being restricted from how much I can eat and drink. So there will be a slight disadvantage. But I'm being paid, so I will accept that challenge. It's very simple.
I want to bring in someone that knows all about the Benn Eubank rivalry more than anyone on this top table, and that is the great Nigel Benn on the end there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nigel, here you go. This is the baton you've passed to your son to take the challenge. How do you feel this version of Conor Benn maybe differs from the version that was going to fight 2.5 years ago?
Well, I like to say he's matured in him 2 years. It's like I'm more excited about this fight than it was with me and Chris Senior.
Wow.
I got more confidence in his fight than my fight when I fought Chris, because the way Conor prepared for the fight, he's just excelled in everything that he done. And people say, like, you know, he's moving up 2 weights. Conor walks around at 12 stone. That's not a problem. That's not a problem. The guys that he's sparring with, they're huge. And I believe it's not like, you know, what round he's going to do him in, what round. I think as soon as he hits much harder than Liam Smith. And I think once Conor put that pressure on him, Conor can do 12 rounds at pace. At pace. And you know what? If he wants to come in there at 60% against my son, mate. And you know what it is, Chris? I want to apologise to you, because I remember you saying, like, you know, that I was disrespectful to your dad. So I'm sorry if I offended you saying that I hate your dad. I don't hate your dad, because you know what it is? Through my stupidity. That was my stupidity. I'm a 61-year-old man, and you know what? I thank God for having Chris in my life, because at the end of the day, we've done so much. We've left you lot to carry on the legacy. So at the end of the day, but I apologise for what I said about hating your dad. I really don't. But because you was going on about it, and at the end of the day, I just want to let you know, I'm sorry. But retribution is coming your way, mate. I'm telling you. It is coming your way, mate. You know, he's going to hit you so many times with a left, you're going to be crying for a right. He's going to hit you so many times, you're going to think you're surrounded. I'm telling you, mate.
That's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear apologies. I want to hear how your son's going to be.
He's going to put it on you, mate. And I'm so confident, so confident, mate.
Good.
Nigel, what in Conor's career gives you the confidence that he's going to beat Chris?
What gives me the confidence? Because I know my boy. He's got my DNA, but much better.
He's not even fought at British level.
No. Listen.
Ben, go ahead.
Hold on. Let me finish. I didn't fight for a British title.
But you fought above British and European level.
28, Ben.
You fought,
you don't know nothing
at 28 years old. At 28 years old, Chris Eubank Jr. was further than this.
At 28 years old, I've got a good 5 years left. I ain't in no hurry. So far, what I have done is good. It's great. So far, what I've done, I'm still undefeated. I don't even know why you're talking.
If you're that, Conor, if you're that confident, no, we want to talk about contracts. If you're that confident, right?
Don't come out.
There was a rematch clause in this. There's a rematch clause in this fight, right?
You asked for.
But both fighters.
You asked for the rematch clause, Ben.
You were desperate for it, Eddie.
Ben,
you were desperate
you asked for a two-fight deal.
2 paydays left.
You asked for it.
Yeah, it's 2 easy paydays. Of course.
All right. Okay. So you asked for the rematch.
Just to be clear. Both fighters were offered, so they want to take a number if they win or a number if they lose, right? The higher number if you win, the lower number if you lose. Chris, of course, the confidence takes the number
You lot
Don't worry
asked
if
for the
he
rematch.
loses.
We didn't want a second fight. We
Connor,
didn't want a second
Connor
fight.
decides,
You
win or
wouldn't
lose,
take
he
it.
wants the same
Hey,
number.
Ben,
So
Ben,
no, you
Ben.
can talk all in about
Classroom
all the
time.
confidence.
Listen, classroom time.
No, Eddie.
You asked for the rematch.
You
asked for 2 fights.
It's easy to
Hold
fight.
on a minute. Hold on.
You
One
asked for
minute,
2 fights.
1 second.
Let's
see
be
what
clear.
you just said? No, Ben, you see what you just said?
You wanted the
Hold
same
on a
number,
minute.
win or lose.
Hold on a minute. You see what you just said?
Yeah.
I'll pop the messages about you saying to me, make sure there's a rematch clause.
Of course, it's
No,
two easy
don't
paydays.
Of course me. Don't of course
Nigel,
Ben,
this is
you've absolutely done yourself up like Kipper.
Eddie,
Asked for a rematch.
Eddie,
You asked for a rematch.
Eddie, I've got messages from you.
Ben, did you
asking
ask for a rematch?
Of course, it's 2 easy
Okay, done.
paydays.
Thank you.
We're getting paid
Let's
more
move
for
on.
the
Sign the
second fight.
contract.
Okay, on to the next thing now. We get it. There's going to be a rematch.
Let me just
No,
speak.
come on. No, it's too much. It's too much. We're not here to hear you chat shit to Eddie, and it's all bullshit.
That's the best thing you've said all night, Chris.
The only voice I want to hear is Conor, or my own voice. I have. It's the truth. What are we doing here?
What about your team?
No. This is not a team sport. It's going to be me and Conor hurting each other in a few months' time. So all this bullshit you guys are going back and forth about now, it's irrelevant. No one's going to remember
You
it.
started it about the rehydration.
Now, I read a tweet that made me chuckle last week. And it kind of sums up what this fight is. The guy said, Chris Eubank Jr. is an arrogant fucking prick. Word for word. And I can't wait until he smashes the eggs out of Conor Benn. That's what the tweet was. Beautifully written. I don't understand it, but that's the passion that we have garnered now for this fight. Two bad guys. Conor, I've been meaning to ask you for a long time. It's interested me. How many eggs did you have to eat to fail those 2 drugs tests? You dirty little omelet.
The reality is.
Please tell me.
The reality is.
It's been racking my brains for a long time.
No problem.
Everyone wants to know. How
The
many eggs did you eat?
the reality is, I've been cleared 3 times by the NADP, by the WBC, by UCAD, by the way, which people are a lot smarter than you. Number 1, I've been cleared. 2, you will never be cleared of being a wanker. Period.
Okay.
That's it.
So when you say you've been cleared, what does that mean?
I'm cleared of people by a lot smarter than you.
What does it mean?
You have the IQ of a 5-year-old child.
Does that mean that the drugs weren't in your system?
I've been cleared. Done.
There you go.
That's it. No, you keep going on, but I've been cleared.
The entire
3 times.
public wants to
No,
know why
but that's the truth.
there were
You're an idiot.
performance-enhancing drugs in your system, and all you and Eddie can come up with
Do your
after
research.
2.5 years
do your
is
research. Do your
he's
research.
been cleared. We can't say how or why.
Do your research,
But he's
Chris.
been cleared. It's okay.
Well, I would like to say, you don't spend nearly £1 million to fight the case if you're a drugs cheat.
Yes,
And
you
that was,
do.
you
That's
know,
exactly what
that
you
was their
do.
own money. No,
But he's an idiot.
care how
Because
much
he owes
money-
Neymar £4 million. That's why he's taking this fight. So don't talk shit.
What did you say? What?
I said he owes Neymar £4 million. You not heard? No, exactly. So don't come and talk to me about bollocks. This is why you've taken this fight, and you're about to get rendered unconscious for it. You're money hungry. That's the only reason.
I was just giving you a
sit down there
chance
and
to
have a
explain
think.
yourself to the public.
You sit down there and have a think.
I guess you guys don't have an explanation, but you're cleared, I guess.
Done by people who are a lot smarter. By people who are a lot smarter than you, Chris.
Listen, I'm sure they are. I'm a fighter.
Oh, well, exactly.
I'm not an academic.
Well, that's it.
But one thing I do know is you are a judge.
What I do know is you're an idiot
There's
who's
no
taking
way
this
around.
fight because you owe someone some money. That's what I know.
How much money do you owe Eddie? Let's talk about that.
I owe Eddie nothing.
No. I've heard you.
You've
he
heard.
paid for your house. He paid for your cars.
I can confirm that's incorrect. Conor Benn owes us no money.
We all know we can't trust what you say.
But what shit are you
But
talking?
I think that
What
that
shit
is
are
actually
you
the reason
talking?
why you've been pushing so hard for this fight, Eddie, because you want to recoup some of that money.
Well, I love the fight. I think he wins.
I know, of course you think he
No, you don't, Eddie.
Of course I do, Ben.
No, you don't.
That's why I didn't want a rematch. And you made sure there was one in because your bum was
You
flat.
wanted a rematch.
Not at all.
You
We
begged
never-
for
we
a
never
rematch.
had
We don't give a shit about the rematch. We care about what's going to happen April 26th.
Good. And what's going to happen? Because you
Addy,
keep talking about the last fight.
This is the easiest press conference I've ever done. I don't even need to be here.
What happens April 26th, Chris?
What do you mean what happens?
You tell us.
Do you like I haven't said it a million times already?
Really, you've kind of beat around the bush. You're the bigger man, points, have some respect. How do you win?
I said I am the better fighter, not because of my size, but because of my pedigree, because of my experience, because of these 35-year-old fists.
And what happens?
What happens is tune in, and you will see.
Doesn't sound very confident.
It's a good way to say it. Tune in, he's right, April 26th. Chris, I know you want this to be the Chris and Conor show, but Ronnie Shields is there, Jonathan Banks is there, and it would be wrong of me not to get a word from the great Ronnie Shields, who has been involved in Benn versus Eubank for 4 decades. Ronnie, what do you make of this? The Suns getting it on just like the way you saw Senior and Nigel get it on?
Well, I think it's great. Can everyone hear me all right?
We can,
Yeah.
we can.
Good.
By the way, you referred to him as Ronnie Shields. That is not his name. He is Ronnie Davis.
Apologies,
Ronnie
Davis.
Put some
My
respect
apologies,
on that
Ronnie.
man's
There's
name.
only
He's
one
done too
name.
much in the game to fuck up his name.
Anyway, I've got the greatest respect for obviously Nigel Benn and his son. I'm old school. I don't slag fighters off or the trainers. How can I not have a great lot of respect for Nigel Benn when I was in the opposite corner for him twice, 2 major wars? It's quite sickening sometimes being in the corner seeing them punches go in, and I think you're going to see another great fight. I always say, may the best man win, but Conor, Chris is too big for you, mate, and you haven't boxed enough, and you haven't fought at his level. He's too big, and he is good. People don't realise how good.
Too good, Davis. Come on now. I just spent the whole time saying how I don't like people saying I'm too big. Now you're saying I'm too big. It's the skills. It's what you've watched me
I
do
know, that don't
for
tell
the
me what to
last
say.
since I was 14 years old, traveling up to London, traveling around the country, sparring all these pros, going to Vegas, putting in the work, paying my dues.
Yeah, you sparred with Frotch, you sparred with Groves, you sparred with all
That's
the top
right.
boys. It
That's
was great.
why I beat
Yeah, how long ago was that? And look what happened with Liam Smith. Got to answer me that. What went wrong there?
There was a reason for that, which in my opinion, but I won't disclose why I thought you lost.
Even the second fight, for the first 3 rounds, he was holding on for dear life and didn't realise that Smith ain't got nothing to throw at him.
That they shouldn't have took the fight. Chris done what he had to do, and you put on a great performance.
No, that's not a great performance, mate.
Well, I don't want to get involved in those slagging matches. It's not my way.
We're not getting into that. I'm not slagging anybody off, but it wasn't a great performance, mate.
All I say is it'll be a great fight for the fans and everyone. May the best man win, which will be Eubank. He's too big, he's too experienced, and he's very, very good. I know Eubank's better than anyone. I've been with him since he was born.
Yeah,
I know.
Same here with my son.
Can I? Yeah, I'm not saying any different, Nigel. All I'm saying is a lot of people don't know what he is. I do. I'll just rest my case on that one. Eubanks wins.
Ronnie, thank you very much. Ronnie Davis, apologies again. Thank you very much. Jonathan Banks, you've been quiet at the end there. You've been nodding your head, laughing, agreeing with a lot of what Chris has had to say. What do you make of this fight? Jonathan, again, you've been in big fights, world title fights. You've been alongside Vladimir Klitschko. You've been some big ones. What do you make of this one? Yeah, I want to hear from you, Jonathan.
I think it will be a good fight.
I knew Jonathan was going to do that. That's good. I knew he was going to do that. All right, final word from both fighters as we end what has been a very entertaining press conference. I'll start with you, Conor. Again, your thoughts on an incredible matchup. You're going to see him again on Thursday, so save some good stuff. But your thoughts on this big matchup?
Genuinely excited. I'm glad that this fight could happen for the fans. I think it's not been done in history before. I'm looking forward to the challenge of stepping up 2 weight divisions. Not that that's really, you've not really heard us moan about that at all. But excited to, yeah, as I said, jump up to this, this plate and give the fans the fight they want. That's mainly it. Just happy to get this fight done and over the line, because at one stage it was looking like it wasn't going to happen.
Indeed. And Chris, again, this is it, right? Here we are. A walk in the park, easy work. Too big, too strong was a lot of the phrases you were losing last time. How do you approach this one this time?
April 26th. The procedure will be parliamentary.
And on that note, we end what's been a very, very interesting press conference. Yeah, indeed. Tickets. Everyone's asking about tickets. Tickets go general sell this Friday, midday. Make sure you set your alarms. You can head to Ticketmaster.com to buy tickets. And look out as well for a pre-sale. Check your social media tomorrow. Details of the pre-sale will happen tomorrow on social media. Make sure you stay tuned to all the social media channels. We are going to do a face-off between these two, which is going to be very interesting, so we're going to get prepared for that. Thank you.
Well, that was a lot of fun. Gents, Tony Bellew, we were laughing up here the whole way through that. Your big takeaway from that, Tony, what did you think?
Listen, it's not Eddie's first rodeo. Remember David A doing something very similar to him when we sat down. So Eddie's been through this before. You know what? Chris plays the part perfectly. I'm not going to lie, but it's all about him, as we can see. You know, we look at here. He looks calm. He looks cool. He's collected. He plays the character really well, guys. Let's just be honest and not beat around the bush. But we all want to see this. It's fantastic to see, and Conor's right up for it, as you heard.
As do Conor. Conor plays the part really well as well. You know, I don't think he's as aggressive as he's trying to make out here, but I do think if they get too close here, that something might kick off. And I tell you who will start it: Conor Benn.
Well, it tends to be fun. Let's listen in here.
Ladies and gentlemen, it all goes down on Saturday, April 26th, live on DAZN worldwide and Sky Sports box office in the UK and Ireland. Saturday, April 26th. It's Benn versus Eubank. The limit 160 pounds. The family feud goes on.
Oh, tempers flaring there.
I got that one wrong, didn't I? Fuming now, Conor Benn.
Well, sorry to say I did tell you before it.
You called that one, and it really has erupted down here on the stage.
That's absolute mayhem there. No,
that is mayhem.
And rightly so, to be fair. Look at the Nigel Benn's going off like a lunatic.
Well, we were hoping to be joined by Nigel and Conor. Not sure if we will be now. Hopefully we'll be joined by promoter Eddie Hearn.
Okay, well.
See, you thought it was going to be Conor to kick off, but it's Nigel Benn. Eubank there with the slap.
He's done that for a reaction.
Yeah.
He knew he was doing that. He knew he was doing that from the start. He got close to Conor, and he knew he was doing that.
Well, wow. Okay, well, I mean, all throughout the build-up to this fight, after we know what happened, of course, in October, we were going to say, look, is this fight bigger than the original date in October? After things like that and what you've just heard, would you say yes?
Jay knew that. He knew he was doing that. That was what he done is he leaned in first to just gauge the distance of how he can slap and then move off because he didn't want to get a counter. And he knew he was doing that. You could tell the minute he leaned in and wanted to listen to Conor, he slapped on the way back. I was watching because I was saying, why has he gotten that close to him to listen to him? He's gone here, and as he's come back, boom, it's a slap. So listen. It's all fun and games. That's gonna really wind Conor up.
Let's see if we can have another look at that.
Listen, there's the lean in that I talked about.
Just getting
there's the next lean in now. Watch when it comes as he comes back out. See, there you go. It's more of a push than a slap.
That's a proper slap your kid on the back of the head slap, isn't it?
Go on, boy. It's one of them. Go on, boy. Move on.
He will be fuming about that kind of because he couldn't reply.
It is bad because it's like I fell for that. I fell for that. The minute I mean, to be fair, there's nothing you can do unless you're Canelo and you slip and slide with a right hook to the body.
Like I said about their dads. Remember I said about their dads after the fight, and I realised when they smiled at each other, they knew how to sell a fight.
Yeah. So does he.
What's that press conference going to be like on Thursday?
Oh wow.
I know. Hopefully they've saved some for Thursday.
They're going to be. They'll learn from this. They won't get that close to each other again now until they get in the ring. They will not get that close to each other until the 27th.
If you're Chris Eubank Jr., Barry, are you classing that as a 1-0?
Oh, he's laughing his head off now.
He is, but he's spot on.
Yeah, he's seen the reaction, and that's just what, like as Tony was saying, he wants a reaction from all the time, and usually does it out to just playing the "I'm better than you" in everything in life. You know, that balls on arrogant sort of approach that he gives you. But dad slap across the head. That's what that is. It's a dad to his child slap across the head from the 70s, not nowadays.
It's a push. It's not even a proper slap. It's a get down there, boy. And
No, that's what it is. Yeah. That's what it is, isn't it? Like, yeah, baby, yeah.
Go on, boy.
How would you have reacted to that, Tony?
You know what?
He'd still be there now.
Yeah, no, Conor was literally still going for it then, and I get it. As you know, as fighters, what we were, what we still are deep inside. Well, someone does that to you, it's happening, and it's going to take hours, maybe even days to shake that feeling off. He is going to be so angry now and furious, and I'm not going to lie, Eubank Jr., he's laughing his head off. He's crying, laughing.
How do you expect Conor to respond to that on Thursday?
I think first thing he'll mention is, come on, let's have it. It'll be like that. I mean, that's going to go on for another hour now. By the way, you replay it over your mind. Yeah. Chris won't, but Conor will replay it over his mind. Oh, I should have done this. I should have hit him first. I should have whacked him when I had a chance to hit him there, and they grabbed hold of me.
To be honest, man, we never wanted to hit each other because we're so dangerous. We all know what we can do. He hasn't punched him, make no mistake. I mean, I got clipped on the chin by David Day's knuckles at the presser. Wasn't nice, did it? As well, jabbed me teeth, to be fair. But that's not mistaken in any way. That's not hair behind and bent on the rooftop. No. That's not me and David Day. That's it. It's a push in the side of the head. So, but if anything, I'd rather have got clipped with a little punch, because that's going to infuriate you. That's going to really wind you up.
He's lit the paper there. That's it now. It's on. I mean, it was on anyway, but that's it now. Everything else is
no going back now.
It's all nasty from here in.
You won't get a face-to-face again.
Fortunately, they know what to sell a fight, but that makes it super. It was already personal, but that makes it super personal. Level.
It's so out of character as well, Baz, you think?
Yeah, it is.
Chris Eubank Jr.
Yeah, but I think he knows how to sell a fight. He knows how to get in your head. All that psychological advantage that you want. I think he's one up now. That's it. Isn't it for him now? I mean, it's great for us though. It's great for us.
And the fans, of course.
Oh, that's just built the fight.
We understand it, but I just promise you now, you've just put another 0 on the pay-per-view buys.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do. Because everyone's at this is not right, that's not right. That's all out the window now. Because what he's just done is all that stuff that got said in the press conference, the cutting Eddie off, Eddie firing back, the banter between Ben Shalom and Big Nigel, that's all gone, because all everyone's going to talk about tonight and tomorrow now is he slapped him. Did you see the slap? That was nuts. And that's all anyone's going to talk about.
And the way he slapped him.
Yeah.
Slapped him like a boy.
Down there.
Do you think Chris did a good job of winding Eddie Hearn up as well, down there?
I think some of it, though, he had a valid point. This is about us, not about you. And, Eddie Hearn's a fantastic seller for anything. He's a great promoter for that.
Well, let's bring him in, Eddie, straight in here. In you come, Eddie. I've been told to bring you in here, Eddie Hearn. Now, listen, Barry, sorry to cut you off there. We'll pick that back up. Eddie, take a breath.
Didn't see that coming, did you?
What did you make of that, particularly the final moments and the push there?
I think it was
no one wants to hear from you, Ed. I'm going to joke.
Honestly,
very good.
Right, first of all, no. The presser, Eubank, quite amusing, right? At the end, bitch move.
Yeah.
You've come on the stage with an egg. That's what it was.
We didn't even realise it. We didn't realise that.
He smashed an egg on his face.
Yeah. That's what I thought it was a glass. Honestly,
let's have a look again.
Smashed.
Let's bring it back up.
I didn't see that.
We thought it was
none of us saw that. We've just been talking about it for 5 minutes incorrectly.
Oh, yes.
I see.
Oh, what?
Okay.
He smashed.
But the noise and the way it shattered was like a glass. Right? So we don't know what's happened.
Oh, wow.
But not being funny, like, listen, all I'm saying now, all bets are off. If you bump into Nigel Benn in the next 10 minutes, watch yourself.
Yeah.
Because the thing is with Eubank is everything is premeditated.
Yeah.
Everything.
That's
yeah. So what they've done is they've sat there at night and thought, I'm going to hit him round the face with an egg. That's all right. Some might find it funny.
That shell goes in your eye. You could be having.
No, but not just that, Tone. Imagine you in a head-to-head right now. You would actually, the police would be looking for you.
I'd be out the right. He's not.
But what I'm saying to you now is, listen, the game's the game. Yeah.
That's a step over.
A fight's a fight. No. Don't worry about it's a step over. It's done. What I'm saying now is all bets are off. Anything goes. You've gone to that level, yeah? I'm not even talking, I'm talking about Thursday at Spurs, right? It's on site. It's on site. People like Nigel, yeah, you know what I mean? Nigel's retired, right? He's a man of God. He's still Nigel Benn. You do that to us, you slap him around the face with eggs in his eye, yeah? When, again, everyone didn't know what it was at the time.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, we didn't
It's okay. So, in the world we live in today, it's going to go viral. people are going to find it hilarious. Yeah, I get it. All I'm saying is, 5 minutes ago, everything changed. That's what I'm saying.
What did you make of what was said up there in general, Eddie? It didn't seem like Chris Eubank wanted to hear an awful lot from you tonight.
No, it's all right. I mean, look, me and Eubank have got a love-hate relationship. We hate each other, and I don't know where the love is. I actually think he's good for the game, I'll be honest. I didn't like that, personally, but it is what it is. He's a showman. It's premeditated. I think he waffles. Just like the waffle was unbelievable. It was like he's moaning about everything about the fight, but that doesn't matter. But then he's non-stop moaning about it. So this fight was massive. This has gone to another level. This fight, General Sale on Friday, is going to sell out quicker than you would ever imagine. If you get a chance tonight, go on YouTube and look at Nigel Benn against Iron Barkley from Las Vegas. That is exactly what will happen in this fight. I'm not saying it'll be over in one round, but watch the way Nigel Benn boxed in that fight. It will be exactly the same as Conor Benn. And by the way, Eubank won't take a step back. He will stand and he will trade with him just like Aaron Barkley did. Ben got hurt in that. Conor may get hurt, but I'm telling you now, forget a game plan, forget a strategy. He's coming in with speed and ferocity to iron out Eubank inside 3 rounds.
But that's what Eubank wants. He wants him to lose his head. He wants him to be...
But Barry, it's the way. It's the way.
Ed, can we touch on, you know, if he does come out and wipe him out in 3 rounds, is that rematch just done?
Listen, by the way, listen, I like Shalom because it's like taking a 3-year-old for a walk over the park.
It didn't make sense what he said.
They asked for a rematch clause.
And
right?
Conor agreed to...
Listen, we'll have a 2-fight deal. We don't mind. We took an amount of money over 2 fights, right? They also agreed to a rehydration clause. It's my job also to protect my fighter. I've got a welterweight going in with a middleweight. I don't want the middleweight coming in 28 pound heavier than the 160.
And it's not a unique experience, by the way. Everybody does this.
Of course, but listen, when Kell Brook fought Gennady Golovkin, Golovkin rehydrated to 10 pounds.
Yeah.
By the way, Chris Eubank Jr. is no Gennady Golovkin, right? So this is what makes this fight a 50-50 is the weight.
Yeah.
In my opinion, pound for pound, Conor is the better fighter, the fresher fighter, the more accurate fighter, the better puncher, but with a 2-weight disadvantage, it's a 50-50 fight.
And the experience.
But I'm telling you now, if you could see what was going on backstage right now, like, this has just gone to another level.
It's been personal from the start, but now this has gone to, you've put hands on me.
I mean, actually, to be honest with you, I'm actually talking to you thinking, if that was you...
Oh, no.
We asked him before.
This does feel... I mean, Eubank's a little bit, you know, it's all rehearsed, so even the stuff about me, when Eddie starts talking, just say this. I mean, poor old Addy, I mean, as for Ronnie Shields, I mean, you know, like, you got a right ear for
we bring that in. Let's try and bring that in.
You've experienced it before.
Listen,
remember that Dave
but Hay, listen, it was just he's just seen it, Hay do it, and that's what he do. But what I'm saying is, you had a little bit of... He slapped you a little bit. If he would have smashed you around the face with eggs...
He hit me with knuckles on the chin.
No, but,
just to let
you know...
Just clattered me teeth together. Just only a little clip.
And you were wobbling for a good couple of weeks after that as well.
Thanks for that. We thought it was an open hand slap.
We didn't see.
You slapping a younger boy.
What he's done is... He's gone on stage with a couple of eggs.
So did you see the eggs?
No, it's like when it hit... It all went everywhere, like a glass, like someone getting glassed. And it was like, that's what I thought. I thought,
what to Barry straight away, he knew he was doing that, but we didn't see the eggs at the stage.
Nor did anyone. No, but it was weird, because in the threads ahead, he was goading Conor on.
Yeah.
He was going...
What was he saying?
Was
he saying
anything? What are you going to say now, boy?
And heads close.
And Conor was like... Conor was calm, to be honest. Conor was trying to stay calm. And then, boom, whacked him.
He wanted to, I can see where he was coming from now. Chris wanted Conor to attack him so he can then push the egg on him, but when Conor hasn't bit, he's no right, I've got to do this off my own back. The only thing I didn't like about that is, listen, little slaps, pushes in the face, all that, but listen, if I've got 2 scratched eyeballs and the eye never ever fully heals, for people who don't know this, if a bit of eggshell goes in your eye, mate, that's a nasty scratch on your eyeball. And I promise
you, if you hit someone with an object, it don't matter what the object is.
Oh, eggshell would be not nice.
Yeah, but it don't matter whether it's a pen, a bar, it doesn't matter. You're using something to hit someone around the face with something.
I promise you now, this is going to carry on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Listen, this is going to be on-site stuff. I don't know if we can even do the presser on Thursday. Because when Conor sees him, and when Nigel sees him, I'm telling you now, it ain't going to calm down in 48 hours.
Nigel,
So we got to
probably
talk
the
to the
odd one to
camps.
calm
What I said to Shalom is, because they're all chatting, it's all premeditated, and I said to him, if you knew about this, you're a dog. I don't know who to believe. I don't really care. I'm not going to overthink it. What I know is it's happened. The drama
I don't think he'll have
continues.
told him, Ed. I don't think he'll have told
I don't
anyone that, because it'd be a
Trust
silly
no
move
one.
to tell someone.
Trust no one.
But it's got the
Same.
You know, when we was in the fight with Hay, all that team, they all talked about what they were going to do, didn't they?
I know.
Hay was like that, wasn't he?
We
This is
knew.
what I'm going to do to Tony. I'm going to go up, and
Yeah.
you know, you do that. Whereas you're just like, it's a reaction thing. You never planned what you were going to do in a head-to-head.
Never, ever planned anything like that. But
I'll tell you what, I would
It's
say
on
that
now.
if you'd have got hit by an egg, it would have been
listen.
quite amusing.
The problem with people who react
thanks for
like
that.
like
That's
Conor
the
Benn.
promoter who's supposed to fight for me as well.
People react.
I wouldn't have laughed.
People who react like Conor Benn, they're the ones who are going to throw a punch. That's what happens there. That's the problem there. It won't be an egg back or a slap back.
But you got to be careful because the fight will be off.
Yeah, of course it
before
will,
we
yeah.
lose.
Your job now is to keep the 7. So on Thursday, it's quite simple. There's a line between.
Well, listen. When we're on the pitch at Spurs, it's full
The line
security. there
Like
because,
Chisora Hay with the
yeah,
fence.
but like the thing is with Eubank won't go for Conor. That was that bit out of character. I've got to be honest.
That's what I'm saying. That will have
But Conor will just attack on
That's what I'm
sight.
saying.
It's not like so look.
You've got to keep them apart.
Well,
now.
it's set up everything lovely for Thursday. Eddie, thanks for joining us. We are going to swap you out, I'm told, for Mr. Ade Oladipo.
Yeah, we're bringing in Ronnie
Champ.
Sorry. Told off.
Big time.
Thanks, Eddie.
Big time.
More to come from Eddie later on this
I
week.
don't know.
Ade, turn around and face the cameras.
I know what it is, the jet lag.
Was that easy for you?
A lot of travelling.
You know what it was?
Easiest press conference you've ever
It was
done?
almost too easy, so I got like a bit too comfortable, and I thought, I can say what I want to say. And I was like, did I just say Ronnie Shields? You know when you feel like you might have said it, but I wasn't quite sure. And then Chris being the guy he is.
Yeah, he didn't let you forget it.
Just in case you said it
Just in
twice.
case.
You know
Yeah.
what?
I've
It just
been
goes
nice
to
to you in
show
this press,
the
Chris.
best
I've been nice to you.
presenters,
You did a
even
good
the
job.
best presenters in the world can make mistakes. It goes
Yeah,
to
but
show
how
you.
have I got I don't know, and how old's Ronnie Davis? 85, mixed up with
Doesn't
Ronnie Shields,
matter.
60 black. I don't know how I've got that
The
wrong.
two boxing trainers.
That's what Ronnie.
There you go.
Ronnie. But no, that was excellent. With these presses, I find them very boring. I hate doing them because 9 times out of 10, you guys have all experienced them. Unless Tony Bellew's a fighter, they don't say anything. And you're asking 1,000 questions. I literally maybe asked about 10 questions, and they just dum. Ben went, Eddie went, Chris went, Conor went. I thought
You've done well,
I thought this is fantastic.
But that's what you want. You want an organic
Yeah.
response, don't you? That they react to each other more than you have to prompt them to do it. It was perfect.
Even that
Did
little
you
melon,
realise it was
yeah.
an egg at the end? How
no.
long did it take to
we
realise?
didn't.
No.
Yeah.
I thought they just kind of pushed each other, but the reaction of Nigel, because I saw Nigel get a spark, and I was like, I thought, you're overreacting for a push. I was like, it's only a push, Nigel,
Not sure
calm
how
down.
close he
And
got.
then I saw eggs on the stage, you can probably see just over our shoulder, and I was like, wow.
That's a bit.
That's a bit naughty from Chris.
It is.
That takes to another level, doesn't it?
But look, he's got a smile.
Oh, well, look.
Addy, I'm sure you've had.
There's a line, but it's just show business.
There it is.
No, I'm an egg dodger. Oh, it's mad, isn't it? I tell you what,
I know that's
Well,
bad.
Eddie said all bets are off now.
But you know what? That's bad because it's not even a slap, it's a slap and egg.
Well, we thought
Wait, let's look.
Ooh,
No. And he's wearing a nice D&G top as well with
Yeah.
Conor. That's ruined that.
Definitely.
Dry cleaning bill. I don't
say-
think
Through the
you can
roof.
dry
I
clean.
tell you what, it gets the desired effect though, because Conor Benn's going to be fuming, thinking about that. He won't get
Look
off
at
his
Nigel.
mind.
Look, Nigel was straight over. Look.
Nigel went straight in. Eddie went in.
Oh, Nigel going for Chris immediately.
Yeah, look, he's grabbing his neck. You can see Nigel grabbing his neck. Yeah, look at him. Oh. Who's
He's
that?
not
That's
a happy
Justin
man
Ben as
now.
well, his cousin.
I've got a question for you, Ade. How excited are you to sit in the middle of these two and do the face-off tomorrow?
You know what? Yeah, I don't know if the face-off's going to happen.
Yeah,
I was honestly
Oh, it
thinking
will.
that. I was like,
Oh, it will.
are
Has
they
to
really
now.
going to
You
put
never
them?
remember. Do you know how it's going to happen? You remember Derek Chisora and David Hay.
Yeah, the
That's
fence.
how it's going to happen.
It's going to be a fence, isn't it?
Maybe not a fence.
I might have to go gym this evening. You know what I mean?
You're doing all right,
You know what I mean?
There'll be two. There'll be a plank of security guards, 2 men in between them.
You know what though? We need this. I know. Look, we don't want to see that maybe at the end, even though you're still smiling, Jamie. I know, Jamie.
All the words that were said.
But they are boring. Let's be honest. Some of them are boring.
Addy, you've got to look at it. All the words that were said, and there was some brilliant content in there.
Oh,
when they wrap
fantastic.
this up and they package it up, it's going to be brilliant. But I'm not going to lie, no one cares what was said now. What happened at the
That
end?
there. So you think my Ronnie Shields thing's been forgotten?
Yeah,
I think so. That's saved you. That's saved you.
No,
100%.
Yeah, stop talking about it. But there is a line where it goes from being a real sellable product to a danger of not happening. Because the boxing board has to react. Let's not forget about
Boxing
that.
board have
They
got
have
to-
to react. There could be a
Fine.
with injury. as well. Someone gets injured, the fight's off.
People think I'm joking with this thing about getting an eggshell in your eye. I've got 2 scratched eyeballs. Yeah. It's the worst pain, and it puts you out of action for a good 10 days to recover. Your eyeball never heals, so once a scratch goes, it literally goes over. It's like varnish on a piece of wood.
You know, as much as I'm desperate to see another presser and the face-off, it almost doesn't need it. Yeah. These two don't need to be seen with each other now until April 26th.
Do you think there's an argument just to...
I think Thursday, if that was the fight, I think Thursday shouldn't happen. Really I don't think you need it to happen.
Really good call.
What do you need? What more do they need to say from what they've already said already?
London has to see this.
No, but what are they going to do again?
They've seen it on DAZN.
They can't do it again, can they? That's it. They can't do that again.
They can't recreate
they
that.
Be allowed, so.
And are they allowed to do a face-off again? Is Conor going to try and retaliate and have something in his hand? Do you know what I mean?
This is boxing, guys.
Fantastic, wasn't it?
This is boxing.
How good was Nigel as well?
Oh, amazing. What did you think of the apology and then...
Yeah, it's like he apologised.
The apology. It was brilliant.
He's like, I'm sorry, but my son's going to smash the hell out of you.
Let's not forget, there's a lot of fighters riding on this main event happening as well. Let's bring that card up for you quickly. I think, based on everything you guys have just said, I think everyone on this card will be thinking... and hoping that everything is okay.
Smith, Adam McKenna's a
Vidal Riley, by the way, I see him in the gym the other day with his trainer. Vidal looks really good. I can't believe that's walking first.
It's a bit like, yeah.
It is a bit like
we saw it. That was incredible last week.
Chef Clark on the bounce back after the European title defeat. That's it. So for Siobhan Clark, that's a real crossroads, and I'm even going to say make or break fight.
It's a must-win.
Because
I'm hearing a lot about this Brandon Glanton as well, by the way.
Glanton's good.
I'm hearing a lot about him, and look, Chris wasn't a tough fight for Chris against Dodo, wasn't it?
But if Smith's at his best, you got Glanton who's physically strong, but we'll walk right into him. The Aaron McKenna Liam Smith fight, because on paper, for me, it's a one-sided fight. But they're banking on Liam Smith being way past his best.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
and he's not shot.
No,
one bad performance, or
I'm not calling that any Smith brother anymore. Stephen can get back in the ring.
I don't know why you do it, but you've got to understand the lads. They don't have to fight anymore.
Yeah.
And you're going to a boxing gym and going to and getting into fights still because they just love the game and they still feel like they've got stuff to prove, and that's why they're in there. And if anyone's banking on Liam Smith being finished, you've got another thing coming. Joe McNally and Declan O'Rourke are 2 of the best young trainers now about in the world. I don't care about Britain. They are very, very good young trainers. Do you think they're going to be training a fighter who's past his sell-by date? Do you think they want to be associated with something like that? Not at all. These guys, Liam was very unfortunate to go in that ring with Eubank that night, but he obviously felt he didn't know position.
What about the concern about not being ready or the weight, whatever issue it was for Josh Kelly? Isn't that a concern? Like, we wanted to see him at Wembley against Josh Kelly, and that didn't happen.
I think injuries are a concern for Liam Smith.
Words from my mouth. You've took the words out of my mouth, Barry. You know, you were spot on. It's injuries with a prolonged and longer career, and he hasn't had the easiest career. You've got to remember, Liam started out of the 4 brothers. Liam starts at the lowest point, and Liam's built up and become world champion. He's the one out of the 4 of the lads who was the most unsuspected to win a world title, if I'm being totally honest. And he got there and he's done it. But to still be in there and amongst it shows you what he's about. It shows you he still wants to fight. But that may be the hard part for him, how much he wants to get in, how much. That's why these injuries are coming. I think if he manages the training schedule better, then I don't think the injuries will come. But that's easier said than done. You've got to be in the best shape possible for these fights, and injuries come, guys. Barry, you know.
Well, with the Yard Arthur trilogy, let's not forget about that fight as well. Where do you see the winner fitting into the 175-pound mix?
Boatsi, it's got to be Boatsi, isn't it? Like, I heard you a bit earlier saying Callum Smith and where he is, and Callum Smith maybe Benavidez.
If the trilogy is happening,
Smith domestic level.
And I think Boatsi Yard, like, how long are we going to wait? Yeah. I mean, how many
Anthony
years?
Yard wants that fight bumped into.
And no disrespect, this isn't being rude to Lyndon Arthur, but obviously a few years ago we saw what a fit Yard could do to Arthur, and he really put it on him, and I kind of expect him to do that as well this time round. And then it's just got to be Yard Boatsi.
I think he was disappointed, Anthony Yard, that Joshua Boatsi didn't win that fight.
Yeah,
but he was never. I just don't think he was ever winning the fight. Yeah. And anyone who'd listen, I said to people, I just.
All right, Mr. I know it all.
No, it's not.
I mean, look at him now. He messaged me as well to say, "I told you so."
I'm sorry to say, but I told anyone who'd listen. I can't believe anyone. And people go, "Oh, you only picked him because he's a scouser." No, you look at the styles, and okay, if what people are saying, because I've read a lot of the comments in the build-up, and they were like, "We think Callum's washed up." Understand, Better Bayev's done that against everyone. Besides Bivol, everyone. The guy, and then it's only Bivol that can deal with it.
You know what it is though? I thought he retired. Apology, but I thought he retired because he just vanished, didn't he, after Beterbiev defeat? We didn't hear from him or see him or nothing. Nothing on social media. So I kind of felt like, oh, he's gone. And then he appears on a Before the Bell card Not even in the main kind of portions. I was like, really?
He just wanted to have the feeling of winning back.
But also sometimes to fight for the title or an interim title, you have to come back with a win. So sometimes you have that win at any level, and you have a deal. You have a winning record.
The producers
because it is fight week. We're also forgetting that.
To wrap up. There's so much to talk about.
It's fight week in Belfast. Let's not forget that. Have a little look at this.
Two of Ireland's biggest prospects, the undefeated guys, going head to head, putting it all on the line. It's one of the best fights ever in Ireland. It's going to be fireworks.
Tremendous finish. Donovan, he looks spiteful, he looks aggressive. This is class.
Big shot, left hand from Crocker. Big fudded shots. Fans and officials rise to their feet.
This is the fight I've wanted, the fight that the Irish fans demanded. It has to be one of the biggest fights in Irish boxing history. There's more on the line than there ever has been before. The pride of Ireland. Take away the pride. His is the world title opportunity. Doesn't get any bigger.
He looks huge in there, Crocker.
I can't see Lewis beating me on the night. He's my way to world title. I've dreamt about it so many times. I believe that I knocked out probably all of them. Let's dance.
This promises to be explosive.
Yeah, of course, Crocker Donovan on Saturday night, a final eliminator, rather, I should say, that one, for the IBF World Welterweight Championship, currently held, of course, by Jerome Boots Ennis, who has business to take care of April 12th, doesn't he, in that unification with Stanionis stateside. As far as this week goes, though, a big weekend of boxing and combat sports begins on Friday. BKFC action from New Mexico as Keith Richardson faces Usmanov super featherweights Rocky Hernandez and Rene Tellez Hiron then collide in Canada on a Matchroom show. And on Saturday, as I said, of course, we head to Belfast for Lewis Crocker against Paddy Donovan before a trip to Puerto Rico as former world champion Sabril Matias faces Gabriel Valenzuela. I keep saying this, and it's a bit of a cliche, but boxing's smiling.
Boxing is like just
laughing,
in a place,
smiling.
and it's a place that it's never been in for years. I'm not going to say ever, because we like to do that, don't we? We get caught in the moment, but right now, I mean, again, you read out the fact that we're going to Belfast. I mean, there's so many big. It feels like there's a big event every week. I mean, I know this isn't on it's on a different platform, but Javonte Davis is fighting on the weekend. It's almost gone under the radar that he's fighting Lamont Roach. I mean, we saw Tasha Jonas in Saudi Arabia. She's got a big fight with Lauren Price. There seems to be a big fight every single week, and we're all covering it. We're all in jobs still. We're all in jobs. None of us are on the dole.
No, listen, it's brilliant, but you have to look at how this all really kicked into this kind of level. It's down to his excellency. It is. It's Turkey Al-Sheikh. So you've got to come out and say that. You've got to.
I'm going to say something, yeah. Me and Barry put our hands up. So the first one was Fury versus Ngannou.
Yeah.
Everyone was kind of laughing at it. And me and Barry were like, can we go over, please, and cover it? And DAZN were like, yeah. All of a sudden, we went over and it was insane.
Exploded.
And ever since.
You haven't come home since, have you?
I haven't come home. I've got Saudi nationality. Saudi citizenship.
I romanticise about the 80s, watching boxing in the 80s when it was like also the golden era.
Yeah.
But I mean, and they were great, and they were great fighters, and the greatest of fighters, I feel. But this, I've never known it like this. But no, the product, constant product, every week, quality every week. This is the new golden age.
Well, listen, Ado, you got stretches and a few squats to go and do, my friend, in case you have to get involved.
No, I'm going to go home and watch videos on Ronnie Shields. Ronnie Shields, one of the best cornermen in the world.
Ronnie Davis, you mean?
Ronnie Davis, Ronnie Shields. Same person.
Well, listen, we'll be back on Thursday from the Battleground, the scene where it will all go down on April 26th, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. From myself, Jamie Ward, Ade Oladipo. I was going to say your name wrong there on purpose, but I didn't. Barry Jones, Tony Bellew, that was a lot of fun. We'll see you Thursday.
Live on DAZN Worldwide, April 26th, a legendary rivalry is reborn. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. Born rivals, battle is in their blood. Fighting for the name, the honour, the legacy. It's finally time to settle the score. Eubank Jr. versus Benn, April 26th. Available soon at DAZN.com/boxing.